Good evening, I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, it appears that the Supreme Court building in Bridgetown will be out of commission for at least the next 3 months. Word of this ahead of tomorrow's meeting between key stakeholders. However, the Barbados Bar Association says it has not heard anything from court officials since yesterday's walkout. Kareem Smith tells us more.
As expected, the Supreme Court remained closed after workers walked off the job because of environmental concerns. In fact, General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, Rosalind Smith, says it could be up to 3 months until they go back in. She says after talks tomorrow with stakeholders, they'll have a better idea of the way forward.
There are a number of things that have to be done, and obviously I'm not for any piecemeal cleaning or things like that would compromise the workers' health. And therefore I'm saying that whatever the results are, we look at doing everything and to see exactly if in the first 3 months if the building will be ready for the staff to resume duties.
Ms. Smith says environmental consultants from the University of the West Indies will be assessing the situation. In the meantime, she says key stakeholders will have to find alternative arrangements for operations at the court. CBC, however, understands that a major stakeholder, the Bar Association, which represents the interest of lawyers, has been left out. The association's president, Lizelle Weeks, says it is still in the dark.
It is of concern to us. We represent the members of the public whose matters come before the court for resolution, and so we would need to, and we can very easily assist in disseminating information in relation to what is transpiring in the courts, to reassure our clients, etc. We represent the public, and so we have a role to play, and recognizing the importance of that role, we should be notified sooner. So I'm certainly disappointed that we have not been notified of anything at all that's transpired or is transpiring in relation to the court.
She says lawyers will be severely affected if issues aren't fixed soon.
Obviously, it affects every aspect of court business, not just the trials, but certainly filings, the registrar of births and deaths are also on that side of the building. All of those functions, all of those responsibilities are now compromised by the closure of the building. We would hope that we would be informed soonest what exactly the issue is, how it is going to be addressed, and when we may be expected to have a properly functioning or sufficiently functioning, at least if all of the problems can be rectified in one fell swoop. Certainly we would like to know when we can have functionality back in the court.
Ms. Weeks says from time to time, lawyers and some judges have expressed concern with the conditions at the court. Despite the association's exclusion from Friday's talks, she wants urgent attention to be given to the issue and a plan of action put in place. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Thanks, Kareem. Well, St. John MP Mara Thompson has announced that she is officially retiring from active politics. Mrs. Thompson spoke to CBC News late last night. In a prepared statement, the wife of late Prime Minister David Thompson said she made the decision after examining the needs of her family.
I wish to inform the country, and more precisely the people of St. John, of my decision to withdraw from active politics. I have taken a long, hard look at myself and the needs of my family, and I have decided to retire from public life. Just as I walked throughout the constituency and sought the support of the people of St. John when I wanted to become their MP, I am walking around in St. John, knocking on doors, thanking the good people of St. John for their support for me over the years. I intend to do so face to face. They will see me. I will continue to visit each home because I want to thank you.
Well, CBC News understands that the current General Secretary, George Pilgrim, has been given the nod to run in the constituency, which is considered a stronghold. And Mrs. Thompson says he has her full support.
George Pilgrim has been in and around St. John for many years now, working on behalf of my late beloved predecessor, David Thompson, working with Families First and working with me. Just as I did for my late husband in terms of the constituency, I intend to do for George.
And Barbados continues to attract visitors for reasons other than the sun, sea and sand, and festivals like Gospel Fest are among them. This is according to Chairman of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., Alvin Jamet. He was speaking during the media launch of Barbados Gospel Fest 2018 at the Hilton Hotel last night. Well, this year's festival will have 9 major events, including a Thanksgiving service, a sunset concert, and a lecture in tribute to the late gospel singer Joseph Niles.
Seen as a winter tourism destination, and certainly Gospel Fest falls outside of that winter period, where we need to turn to other things other than the fact that it is cold up north to attract our visitors to the island. And certainly an event like this that is so well orchestrated and put on year after year certainly speaks well for our Barbados tourism brand. People come to Barbados because we are friendly, and because we are warm and hospitable, and because they feel safe coming here. And certainly when you come to Barbados for the Barbados Gospel Fest, all of those core brand elements are present.
Executive producer Adrian Agard says Gospel Fest, which will be held from May 19th to 27th, is the region's premier Christian music and arts festival.
Barbados Gospel Fest 2018 promises to deliver an exciting and inspiring program of events for the entire family. We expect people to be entertained, we expect them to laugh, cry, and be filled with joy. But most of all, we trust that they and this nation will be blessed because of Barbados Gospel Fest.
The Barbados Agriculture Society says there need not be the level of uncertainty seen every crop season. In fact, Chief Executive Officer James Paul believes a greater level of cooperation is needed between all parties involved to resolve issues on a long-term basis. He shared the view during a press conference to discuss the state of agriculture in Barbados. Mr. Paul says the local sugar industry shouldn't be allowed to go under, as it is important to other key industries, including rum and agriculture overall.
For instance, that one of the major things that are impacted on is the question of the price of inputs. The price of inputs that we pay for other to go into other sections of the agricultural sector depends on the existence of the sugar industry. In the absence of the sugar industry, the cost of agriculture in this country can go up considerably, unless, of course, we find something else that can replace it. At the moment, we have not worked on any other replacement for sugar, and therefore it behoves us that all parties that are all stakeholders of the industry must show a level of cooperation in terms of trying to ensure that we solve the problems related to the sector.
Mr. Paul says Barbados should not frown on suggestions to fund productive sectors for the long term.
We are so tied in sometimes to the dictates of the IMF and the WTO. We actually, when I hear people, some of the economists in this country speaking, it seems as if they are paid servants of the IMF and the WTO. I'm serious. As a matter of fact, they spout their theories even more readily for them. The fact of the matter is that we must manage Barbados for Barbadians to the benefit of Barbadian citizens, and a lot of people work within the productive sectors in this country. So we need to develop things that are going to help to move our productive base forward, and we should not balk at any suggestion that says let us develop a fund or a way of funding our productive sectors to the extent that we can make them viable in the longer term.
Well, the local pork industry has lost a giant who has helped develop that, as well as the poultry sector. Richard Cole passed away last week after a long illness. His contributions were recognized with the Barbados Agriculture Society, and they acknowledged his leading role in the introduction of new technology into farming. A pioneer in the local fishing industry, Angela Watson, has been laid to rest. She was buried this evening following a service at the St. Mark's Anglican Church Centre. Hundreds of Barbadians from all walks of life turned out to pay their final respects. Ms. Watson served on several community and national organizations and is popularly remembered as the former head of Barnufo and a CBC board member. We will have a full report from Ms. Watson's funeral in tomorrow's edition of the Evening News. We'll take a break here and come back with more news. Come Saturday, young people will have a chance to speak their mind and offer solutions to the issues plaguing society. This as a youth rally titled Real Thing comes off in Queen's Park. The event is under the patronage of Democratic Labour Party candidate for the city, Henderson Williams. And he says the rally is part of his constituency's efforts to develop the community and provide practical options for people.
Things in place that creates opportunities, job opportunities, opportunities for community development. The government has done that in some ways, but there are also opportunities for persons to come together as a community and find solutions.
In addition to being a forum for young people, the youth rally will also offer entertainment. Mr. Williams says the focus on the youth is important in securing the country's future.
We're going to have articulate young people in the city giving their view of the city. They're unrehearsed and coming up with what they consider to be creative solutions. We have as well on board the YWCA, and they will use that as a recruitment drive for some of their assistants, because they have volunteers who do the work that they do. They have the breakfast programs and so on, but they want more young people to come on board and volunteer, to come on board and assist the communities.
As the Salvation Army gets ready to celebrate 120 years in Barbados, the organization is not slowing down on its charitable work here. Chairman of the Army's Advisory Board, Paul Bernstein, says a number of projects are in various stages of action. However, he admits that with a price tag of $1.5 million attached to these projects, corporate Barbados and charitable organizations need to help complete them.
If we could complete the Maria Holder project, expand the church that we have here in Reed Street to a conference center as well as a community center and church, and at the same time get the Long Bay project going where we can accommodate the battered ladies and senior citizens, we will also make that into a feeding center. So we will have a feeding center not only in Bridgetown here, we will have one in Spicetown, we will have one in St. Philip as we expand. And we remember we could only expand with the generosity of the people of Barbados.
Business manager Sherma Evelyn says the Army will focus more on holistic care of the needy through the Soul to Soul project.
We have a number of clients at our feeding center here in Reed Street who are diabetics, and they cannot afford a doctor to do their toes and their feet. And we have a member of our congregation who's a retired public health nurse who was responsible for the Oistins Polyclinic, and she volunteers her time to pedicure their feet.
In celebration of its anniversary, the Salvation Army will hold a week of activities from May 27th until June 3rd. These activities include concerts at the Glebe, the Spicetown Playing Field, and the Frank Cullimore Hall. Still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. Trinidad and Tobago's High Court has ruled that the nation's law against same-sex intimacy is unconstitutional. Gay rights activist Jason Jones successfully challenged Sections 13 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act, also known as the Buggery Law. Now, those sections criminalize buggery and indecency, including consensual sex between adults. The law Trinidad inherited during its days as a British colony has not been struck down, but the matter will be further discussed in July.
The ruling said that it is unconstitutional to impede on the rights of homosexual men and anal sex. However, a final ruling will be handed down in 3 months to preserve the need for consent. Lawyers for Mr. Jones had argued that the act, which criminalizes anal sex, is unconstitutional because it violates his right to privacy, liberty, and freedom of expression. They also argue that the law infringes on the rights of the LGBTQIA community in Trinidad and Tobago. We now have this report from Ian Wason about a protest that took place outside of the court.
Imam Yassin Abu Bakr was also there to show his solidarity, and of course, while that was going on, inside of the Woodford Square, the LGBT community, they were there, and there was a bit of a clash when they all came to the Hall of Justice. While they were at the Hall of Justice, because the rain started to drizzle and they came to shelter, while the members of the LGBT were speaking to the media, some of the anti-protesters who were with the Muslims and the Rastas, they came across and interrupted and exchanged words. There were a bit of words that were exchanged between both groups, but the police were there and did not escalate. And I must say, good work for the police officers who were there. And, well, it was jubilation after for the LGBT group, where it was announced where the word came from upstairs of the ruling.
Over to Guyana now. 6 men have been arrested in connection with the alleged discovery of 4 handguns and several rounds of ammunition. And that happened after a failed attempt to rob a poultry farmer. We have this report from HGP TV.
Ranks of the Guyana Police Force Tuesday evening arrested 6 men following a roadblock at the Grove Public Road, which uncovered a stolen vehicle, a sledgehammer, 2 pairs of unused latex gloves, $1,420 cash, 2 trade plates and a red haversack, a Glock 9mm pistol and 11 rounds, a black Glock 9mm pistol with the serial number filed out and 11 rounds, another black Beretta pistol with 11 rounds, and 1.32 Taurus pistol with the number filed out with 6 live rounds, all of which were found on the floor of the car. Those arrested are taxi driver Steve Hercules of Sisters Village, Najibi Gobin of Charlotte Street, Border, Renard Khan of Cooper Street, All Boys Town, Mark Prince of Parafate Harmony, Edward Skeet of Independence Boulevard, and Marvin Blackman of Dar Street, South Rheinveld. Police say that the roadblock was set up following an attempted robbery report from a poultry farmer who reported to police that while he and his sons were at home, he heard someone breaking down his eastern door and subsequently observed 4 men in his yard. He raised an alarm, and the 4 suspects escaped in a silver grey Prima motor car bearing number plate 8C4543. As a result of the information received, a roadblock was set up and the car was intercepted. Police said a further investigation revealed that the motor car was stolen from its owner on March 25, 2018 at Princess Street, Georgetown. Ballistic tests, according to a well-placed source, will be conducted on the weapons to determine whether they were used in the execution of any other crime. At least 4 of the men detained are well known to the police for having committed other gun crimes and who would have already served time in jail. Just on Friday last, an intelligence-driven operation by ranks of the Police C Division recovered 3 illegal firearms with matching ammunition and arrested 2 persons. Total to date, 7 illegal firearms with matching ammunition within 5 days.
A prison raid and shakedown has been conducted at the Bahamas Correctional Department after video recorded by prison inmates went viral on social media. The video released last week showed inmates preparing a substance that appears to be marijuana and 4 men inside a cell partying. We have a report from ZNS Bahamas.
Suspected marijuana packages, cell phones, and homemade weapons, some of the items discovered on the prison compound during a search by officers making up the SIP operation. Assistant Commissioner of Police with responsibility for crime investigations, Clayton Fernandez, says the search was sparked by intelligence gathered and a viral video from the prison that showed inmates smoking, listening to music, and rolling marijuana. The massive group included officers from the drug enforcement and gang units, as well as the flying squad in partnership with the Defense Force and prison guards.
We were able to recover 19 cell phones, 11 charges, cell phone charges, and 42 homemade shanks. And these are very dangerous shanks capable of causing serious injuries or death. We were able to recover from those cells, along with a large quantity of suspected marijuana.
A number of lighters were also uncovered. The center of a book was cut out to allow a cell phone to be hidden. Inmates employed creative ways to charge those cell phones.
And also you would have seen wires they use for charging in the ceiling where the light fixtures is. They were able to connect a wire to the wires from that to be able to charge their cell phones.
Deputy Commissioner at the Bahamas Department of Corrections, Bernadette Thompson-Murray, offered her suggestion as to how contraband is making its way into the facility.
Like any organization, there is some form of corruption. So that is one aspect of items getting in there. And further, if officers do not do the normal searching as they should, things will enter. Senior today is one aspect of assisting, and once we would have been given the necessary tools to assist us in continuation of this effort, much can happen as relate to what we stamped out today.
Well, a peek into the world of sports is just ahead, but before we get to that, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Some supplements are made in unsafe surroundings, like a basement or kitchen lab, and can be contaminated with steroids and other banned substances. This fact is brought to you compliments the National Anti-Doping Commission.